You know, in the world of skilled trades, one little mistake can be incredibly expensive or even dangerous. But what if you could make that mistake, learn from it, and just try again, all with zero real-world consequences? Well, that's the power of virtual reality. And we're not talking about some far-off futuristic idea. This is quickly becoming the new standard for training the workforce we need for tomorrow.
Just think about that for a second. What if a brand new welder could practice laying a perfect bead, not once, but dozens of times, without ever burning through a single piece of expensive metal? Or what if an apprentice electrician could learn how to handle a high-voltage panel with absolutely zero risk of getting a shock?
Yeah, this isn't science fiction anymore. This tech is here, right now, and it is completely rewriting the rulebook for hands-on, practical training all over the world. So, before we dive deep into how VR is changing the game, we've got to understand a world it's stepping into. Let's start with the foundation of it all, vocational education itself.
A good way to think about vocational training is like the engine of a country's economy. Seriously, it's not just some alternative to a university degree. It's the system that creates the skilled pros. You know, the technicians, the operators, the maintenance crews, who literally power our most critical sectors like manufacturing, energy, and construction. It's what fills the real, on-the-ground needs of the labor market.
But here's the thing. For all its importance, traditional vocational training has always run up against a few fundamental, universal challenges that are just really hard to get around.
And what's so interesting is that these hurdles are baked right into the idea of hands-on learning. I mean, how do you teach someone to weld without any risk? You can't. How do you let a student practice on a $1 million CNC machine without worrying about them making a super costly mistake? It's a constant struggle. So this leads to high safety risks, insane costs for modern equipment, tons of wasted materials, and let's be honest, pretty subjective grading. One instructor's good enough might be another's do it again. And this, right here, is exactly where virtual reality comes in. It's not trying to replace hands-on training, but it's an incredibly powerful solution to these very specific, very old problems.
This really just captures the entire paradigm shift perfectly. We're swapping out high-risk for zero-risk practice. Insanely expensive equipment is supplemented with accessible, affordable simulation. And that subjective feedback, that gives way to objective, data-driven proof that someone actually knows what they're doing.
Let's think of it as a pre-workshop layer. Before a student ever sets foot in a real workshop, with all its real dangers and real costs, they go into the virtual one first. In there, they can learn the procedures, get the safety protocols down pat, and build that crucial muscle memory for complex tasks, all in a totally safe and controlled space.
And this is where the magic of repetition really kicks in. In a virtual world, a student can run through a complex procedure, like a really specific welding technique, not just once or twice, but more than 50 times if they need to. There's no cost for materials, no wear and tear on the equipment. It's just pure, focused practice until they've absolutely nailed it. So if we break it all down, the benefits really group up into 3 huge areas. First, and most importantly, is safety, just taking the risk right out of that initial learning curve. Second is accessibility and cost. Suddenly, every student can get their hands on a virtual version of super high-end equipment. And third is standardization, making sure every student is trained and tested on the exact same criteria, giving you real data that proves they're competent.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Where is this technology making a real difference today?
Well, in industry and manufacturing, the applications are just so immediate. Students can practice getting the perfect angle and speed for weld, they can learn the complicated steps for setting up a CNC machine, or run through diagnostics on a virtual engine, all before they ever touch the real thing. It's all about building precision and safety right from day one.
Or think about high-risk sectors like energy and construction. In VR, a trainee can practice critical safety protocols, like the lockout/tagout procedure on an electrical panel. They can learn how to work safely up on scaffolding or how to spot hazards on a virtual job site. I mean, these are the kinds of lessons you definitely want to learn where a mistake has absolutely zero consequences. And it's not just for heavy industry. That's what's so cool. The versatility is massive. In logistics, trainees can master driving a forklift, learning how to get through tight spaces, and avoid common accidents. In hospitality, they can run through an emergency response drill in a virtual hotel kitchen. It's all about building job-ready skills safely and super efficiently, no matter what the job is.
So the potential is obviously huge. But how does a school or a company actually make this work? I mean, it's not as simple as just going out and buying a bunch of headsets. For this to really work, you need a system. It starts by figuring out where your biggest skills gaps are and then developing a few high-impact training scenarios to target them. A huge step, and you can't skip this, is training the instructors on how to actually use this new tool in their classes. Then, you pilot it, you measure the results with real data, and you tweak it. Over time, you build up a whole library of proven content, and VR goes from being a cool gadget to a core part of how you guarantee quality.
I think this quote just gets to the absolute heart of it. VR creates this amazing space for stress-free learning. Every single mistake isn't a failure. It's just immediate, powerful feedback that makes that student better, safer, and more competent when they get to the real world.
So the takeaway here is pretty clear. The skills we need for the future of work are being built and perfected in virtual environments right now. This means the question for every educator, every policymaker, and every industry leader isn't really if they should adopt this technology anymore, it's how quickly can they get their students ready for this new reality.